feel you can ever imagine. You could do it every single solitary day and kids would play with it. It is so good. For a child, it's doing it as a transmission of emotion or how they feel or what they're, at the moment, what they're interested in discovering. But there is never a product. Even with cooking, they're not the least bit concerned about eating it. I mean, if they were, how would you mix their flour and water and ever think about eating it? But with them, they're never thinking about the product or the end result. They're only thinking about doing and going. I would be really concerned about a child who was interested in the product. Every once in a while, one of the questions that people ask me in a workshop is, what about the child that says, look, 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 when they're done? Well, one of the things I want to say is that children are never born doing that. You never see a 2-year-old, rarely do you see a 2-year-old saying, look, 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 look. What I think immediately is this is a child who has learned somehow from some adult that it's important that the adult like it. The adult has said, oh, that's wonderful, oh, that's beautiful. And they've learned to depend upon the adult for their sense of esteem or whether it's something is good or whether something is acceptable. My notion about that is when people ask me what I would do, what I say immediately is I always take it from the child and say, do you like it? Because see, that's all that matters, is that that child likes that the child gets a sense of self, that it is important only to them. You know, I often use this analogy because it's easy because it's in my family. My oldest son is an artist, and he really, really enjoys art. I don't know that I have ever really loved anything that he's done. My style of liking art is Grandma Moses kind of thing, those wonderful little people all over the painting. And so it's unimportant to him that I like his stuff. He can show it to me, but I don't think he really cares whether I like it or whether I approve of it. I mean, he has to do it for himself. And I think artists down through time have always done that. I don't think Van Gogh worried about whether other people liked his stuff. In fact, I guess they didn't until after he died. I don't think Picasso worried about whether anybody liked his stuff. And the same thing for the child, that belongs to them and only to them. I do think we ought to honor their art. I think we ought to frame it, we ought to hang it up in a place of honor and keep it off the refrigerator door. One of the most important things about art for me is that we never, ever, ever show the child a model. What we have to do is establish an environment, provide materials, and never have a preconceived idea about what's going to happen. Do not demonstrate this stuff. You just put it out. Dog toys are the very, very best, I think, for painting with. Taking spools and attaching them to coat hangers so kids can run them through the paint and get marks on a piece of paper. Any kind of spool, you can do double spools, you can do you can do beads, kids beads, they can run them through the paint. Surgical supply places are really nice for finding really good things. These kinds of things, you know, discovering how things work and what they mean. Art is basic science. Next time you put out shaving cream, be sure you put out combs and picks, because you get a whole different movement when you put out combs and picks, or have them available for children so that they can make a different, you know what I think it is, and nobody here is as old as I am, but it's kind of like that old Palmer method, you know how we used to go like this and like this? Who did that? Yeah, well, there's a few of you. But with shaving cream, that's what I want you to do. Of course, fly swatters and taping things together and all sorts of dog toys and things like this so that kids can paint. We have ones that go like this, some that go like this. We also, one of the things we have is elbow pads, and they have brushes in them so kids paint like this. The more a child moves, the more they know about what they're doing, what's important, left, right, all those kind of wonderful things. This kind of stuff is really important. Abraham Maslow said, and it's probably, his work has affected what I do a lot. If we hope for our children that they will become full human beings, and that's what we hope for, I think I've only come maybe a 16th of the way, and that they will move towards actualizing the potentialities that they have, then as nearly as I can make out, the only kind of education in existence today that has any faint inkling of such goals is art education. And I'm hoping that he meant art, music, language, creative experiences, because it's what plays true a sense to the inner child, to that human being that's in here, that core, that part of the child that they're going to take into adulthood. Three things about music that are really, really, really important. Number one thing you have to think about is inclusion. How do you include the children? Tapes and records tend not to do that. I never use tapes and records in my school except for background music. You need to buy as many tapes as you can humanly possibly buy. Learn the songs yourselves and sing them with children. And then you can change it. And this is the number one easiest instrument to play, and I could teach anybody in this room to play it in less than 5 minutes. That's how I gather children. It's really important that you figure out how to include them. What I would do with this song in school is, one, come on and play, play, play. And the kid would say, I've got one. I'll say, okay, okay. What else could we do? Steve, you're next. Where's Steve? Steve, give it to me. Watch him, watch him. What is that called?
It's called spider walking.
It's called what?
It's called spider walking.
Spider walking. Come on and spider walk with me. Come on and spider walk with me. Come on and spider walk with me. Come on and walk with me. Do you think you could do that with your eyes closed? I'm not important. What it is that kids become included. You want kids to think divergently, so that they know how to solve problems, so that they know how to be creative. So the number one thing you think about is how to include children. And I don't think records and tapes do. And I also think that the second thing is never sing anything to a young child faster than their heartbeat. Don't use music to teach. Music never has to fit into a curriculum. Don't pick a song because it teaches this or that. Sing because music has such easy access to the heart. Kids are always learning. But pick a song because it includes. You're not going to fit in, come on and play, any place. It's just going to be a song that you start with. That's a really, really important philosophy. Don't pick songs to teach any concept at all. There are lots of concepts they learn while they're singing. So I think you understand all that. Give me a...
Trash can.
Oh, that's a good one. Let's do that. Come on, Santa. Let's do it now. Da, 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 da. Oh, yes! Think of
I have one.
What? Oh, like this.
Ganglands.
What?
Creepy.
Oh, let's do this. Da 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 da. Creepy. Good one. There was music in my mother's house. There was music all around. There was music in my mother's house, and my heart still feels full with the sound. Ba-da-da-da-da-da. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Before children can want to read, they have to have experiences to attach words to. They also have to know that words mean something. So one of the things that we've developed here is a writing program for children that is so powerful. It honors their words. It says that what you say and what you think is important. It also helps kids make the connection between the written word and the spoken word, between the written word and an action. So words start to make sense to them. And so what we have are clipboards everywhere, and parents and teachers just pack them around.
Brother, much than I love Kirsten.
Many of the stories are out of their own experiences. They are not always sequential. They go off on different tangents. They're where the kid is right now. Sometimes they talk about not liking something or liking something. Sometimes the words are actually confusing to adults. We write every word that they say, and we never correct the grammar. There's plenty of time for that.
I got a lot of toys at home.
You do. And I have a lot of...
What we do with those stories is that we read them all during a gathering. When we gather together, I will read all the stories. I want everybody to understand, kids are egocentric until they're at least 7 or 8. The only child who pays any attention to the story is the child who has written the story. There is someone I know named CJ and David. And I have lots of toys at home, and I have a little choo-choo train, and it's blue, and it's white. And I like to show my train to my little brother. That's the end, Caitlin. We send them all home every single day. And what I say to parents at the beginning of the year, this is what your kid thought about and talked about today. It's more important than the newspaper. It's more important than the news on TV. The most important thing is that you can read this and that this is important to you. Listen to this. Before Christmas, my baby didn't know how to crawl. And after Christmas, he learned how to crawl. When my mom says for him to say, Mama, he sticks out his... We also do journals in our school. And sometimes there's not much difference between the journal and the story writing. But what I tell the kids about the journal, I don't describe in advance what stories are about. We just do them, and then the kids really figure out what we're doing. The one thing I tell the kids at the beginning of the year is that everybody has a journal, and in that journal will go anything that they don't ever want to forget. And that's a difficult thing for kids. You know, kids don't think much about the past, and you know, tomorrow is another day. We keep the journals here all year, and then they're sent home. And they're almost like a diary. I don't know that kids really understand it now. But what I know is that at 9 and 10 and 16, and especially at 26 or 27 when they have children of their own, when they look back and see what was really important to them, we will have the next generation understanding childhood a little bit better. When you read things that are in the journal that were important to you as a child, like a dead frog on the road, or you did this, or I got to do that. One child rushed in and he said, get my journal down. And I got his journal down. And he said, write down today. And so I wrote down today. And then he said, write down, I hate Jesse. I said, I wrote that. He said, read it back. I read it back to him. About 3 weeks later, I came in and he said, get my journal. And I said, he said, read the part where I hate Jesse. And I read it. He said, okay, write down today. I wrote down today. He said, I like Jesse today. See, they can see progress, they can see change, they can see that feelings change, they understand themselves a little bit better. Listen to this. Often it's out of their own life experiences that they write. What's going on? I have a cat named Spotty. We gave him a shot, he went to sleep, and we took his balls off. Is that the greatest story you ever heard? How I read a book. How I read a book. The kids have to be sitting as close as they humanly possibly can. Between my legs is better than any place else. And whoever comes, it's fine. When I open the book, if a kid doesn't say something, I put it away.
I think you went too far.
He went too far, or you got lost?
She got lost.
I don't think Katie can see.
I think you got lost too.
When kids interrupt, I never see that as interruptions. I see that as kids entering the learning process. What do they think? If I open a book and get ready to read it to children, and somebody doesn't say something about the cover or about the first page, I always think, oh, maybe I ought to put this book away. Maybe I'll go for a second page. But if the kids aren't actively involved, then I'm not interested in reading it.
Oh, but there are creatures everywhere, and they can't hide from me. What? A giraffe?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's within the big
Yeah?
It can be.
Yes.
Koalas.
Koalas. You saw the koala?
A parrot.
Where's a parrot? Oh, my
I've
gosh.
got to know if they know what we're doing here. What are we doing here? I want to know what they think,
Look at
what
these
frightens
bags
them,
back here. Hello,
what they
Tim.
feel secure with,
Tim, look at this.
how they would change it, how they think it would,
A
they would change it.
rhinoceros.
And it seems
Let's read another
that
page.
that's not something we do. We
Some
think
of
you have to
them-
get
some
from
of
the
my animals
beginning
are
to the end
dangerous,
of the book
but it's only my
with
amazing
no
skill that
interruptions. And I
saves
think
me.
if they don't
Can you see the
interrupt,
tree?
it's just not worth reading. In workshops, people ask me all the time, I don't know where to start. I don't know where to start changing. Well, I wasn't always like this. I kind of, my face will probably get red, and I'll probably be embarrassed, and I won't be able to look at anybody. And if I start to talk about how I was in the beginning, I will tell you that children not only all came to group time, they all brought chairs. They all sat on chairs instead of sitting all over me and sitting close to me, and nobody interrupted my stories because I didn't have enough confidence to let them interrupt. I figured it out pretty quick that I wasn't a TV set and I didn't want to be, so I figured out how to let the kids do that. But one of the things that I think that I would like to say to teachers and to parents, you make little tiny changes. You change one thing. You say, I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to, for this whole semester, this whole school year, I'm not going to make a model in art. I'm just going to put out the materials and I'm going to allow children to create for themselves what they want. I'm going to try that. I'm not going to change everything. I'm not going to spatter the floor with paint like Bev Boss has. One of the things that I would encourage teachers not to be is ever discouraged. You're going to have parents say, oh my gosh, all the kids do is play. Play is the essence of learning. You got to play with language, play with materials, play with sand, dirt, and water, play with things that move and things that grow, and play with science materials. Play is the essence of all learning for human beings, being actively involved in that. And you're going to have principals, you're going to have school boards, you're going to have other teachers, you're going to have parents who say, oh, there's no control. What is my child learning? What is this? You're always going to have people in your lives who are going to question what you do. And I think that you have to spend some time yourself questioning what you do. You know, is this really, really the best I can be for children? But once you know that, then you can stand that kind of criticism or inquiry and go forward and know that it's best. And you just make little changes at a time. And what you are in charge of is establishing an environment where kids are going to get the memories that will sustain them for the rest of their lives. Then you don't think about getting them ready for the next life. All you think about is, when this child goes home, what's their memory of this moment going to be? It makes you a different teacher. Don't try to be the teacher you think you should be. Be the teacher that you always wanted. What did you want? When you're in a moment with a kid, what would you have wanted? It never fails you, and you just get better and better and better at it. I'm enormously good at that, paying attention to the moment and paying attention to that child. Memories, establishing an environment where kids are going to get their memories, is what you have to think about every day. And Tom Hunter wrote the best song about memories I've ever written, and Michael and I are going to do it. What do you remember from the time you were a child? Do you think of moments memory knows well? Are there little
things like trinkets